Hello, and welcome to Inside the Movie Magic. As this is the inaugural episode, I kind of wanted to show you exactly what we are going to be doing in this series. This series won't function as a film review or a simple discussion about a film, which I'm sure some of it will kind of turn out that way, but that's not what this is about. This series will be about the behind the scenes of a film, going through the film, who wrote the film, who directed it, where the story came from, how the soundtrack is. We won't be covering post-release of the film, as that will be a separate series that will become following these videos, as well as a film review if that comes to be. These videos are just meant to show you how much effort and time and talent truly goes into each and every one of the movies that you watch, even the ones you don't really like. I hope you all enjoy wherever this series takes us and can see the vision that I have for it. Please let me know what you think of this video down below. Almost Famous is the story of a kid who gets wrapped up into the world of music journalism and ends up writing for the Rolling Stone and touring with the band at just 15. How do you come up with a story like this, you ask? Well, you live it. The writer and director of this movie is Cameron Crowe. He wrote Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but really struck gold with Jerry Maguire, which let him create this sort of passion project of his. This movie is an autobiographical story mixed with some fictional elements to keep the story interesting. The actual premise of a child becoming a Rolling Stones journalist is something he really did live through. Although this story seems pretty easy to come up with, it's actually really interesting how he handled his own life in this movie. Rather than base the story for the film around one specific band or era in his life, he encapsulated being on tour with multiple bands into one fictional band. This created a way for him to tell certain stories and things without making it public which band acted a certain way or was a certain way. Although he later would say a few things and confirm which bands did what, and also other bands would come out and say that certain things were based on them. This allowed him to be more open about what actually happened while he was out on the road. Then, after Cameron Crowe decided to become a filmmaker, it allowed him to create the film. And in order to create a film, you need a team. When you look at an autobiographical kind of film like this, you have to wonder, who does the writer-director cast to play himself? The man selected to play the part is Patrick Fugit, sorry if I mispronounced that, who did an incredible job in this film. He was cast later into production than he normally would, after Cameron Crowe and the casting manager watched Patrick's self-taped audition. The character of Russell Hammond, a member of the band, was actually originally going to be played by Brad Pitt. He eventually dropped out after Crowe and him talked and decided that he wasn't a great fit for the part, which he really wasn't, and I'm thankful it didn't end up that way. There are so many great characters in this film played by some very well-known people. Philip Seymour Hoffman plays Lester Bangs, someone who basically helps set up like Cameron Crowe's career. Jason Lee plays the lead singer in the fictional band Stillwater, which the movie follows. Russell Hammond is played by Billy Crudup, sorry again if I mispronounced that, who plays another member of the band, and many, many more names that I could be here for a while naming them all. Both Jack Black and Jon Favreau auditioned for the role of Lester Bangs, but I do believe that went to the right actor, kind of without a doubt. Meryl Streep and Natalie Portman also were considered for two different roles in this film. Casting is without a doubt one of the hardest parts about a film. One wrong role, one actor in the wrong place, or not understanding the character can completely change everything about a film. Even if the production went perfectly, it can still buckle under just one person. Speaking of production, let's take a look at our next chapter and see just how the production for Almost Famous actually went. Almost Famous was a collaboration between Vinyl Films, Columbia Pictures, and DreamWorks. It shot between May 24th, 1999 and October 6th, 1999 for a total of 92 days. They shot almost entirely in California, which is not super much of a surprise because of what the film is actually based on. The actual production and shooting of the film went off kind of without a hitch and didn't have much of an issue. Again, it really comes down to everyone doing exactly what they needed to be doing when they needed to be doing it and bringing their A game. The production for a movie, especially like this, comes down to the tiny decisions someone makes on set, like choosing who for which role, how to shoot certain scenes, what focus, how to shoot something. This is when the director really makes or breaks the film. I think something that you also have to look at in great depth when it comes to this movie is our next chapter, the soundtrack. I don't think anyone would be surprised when I would say that the soundtrack for this film is going to be almost the most important thing about a movie like this. It was not only incredibly important, but also a great soundtrack as it won the Grammy for Best Movie Soundtrack. Here are some of the songs on the track list, not including the ones that Cameron Crowe and his wife Nancy Wilson of the band Heart wrote. Simon & Garfunkel's America, The Who's Sparks, Todd Rundgren's It Wouldn't Have Made Any Difference, Yes, Your Move, The Beach Boys' Feel Flows, Stillwater, Fever Dog, Rod Stewart, Every Picture Tells a Story, The Seeds, Mr. Farmer, the Allman Brothers Band, One Way Out, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Simple Man, Led Zeppelin, That's the Way, Elton John, Tiny Dancer, Nancy Wilson, Lucky Trumbull, The Velvet Underground, I'm Waiting for the Man, Cat Stevens, The Wind, Clarence Carter, Slip Away, Thunderclap Newman, Something in the Air. Everything about this soundtrack feels like it all fits perfectly into the time period and the mood of the film, and nothing feels out of place at all. I would say that this soundtrack has got to be one of the best soundtracks of all time. Cameron Crowe actually showed a cut of the movie to Led Zeppelin, which prompted them to let him use some of their songs in this movie, something they had only done previously on Fast Times at Ridgemont High, one of his other films. I think the soundtrack for this movie brought the film up and only increased its level of love and the true feeling of almost experiencing it with the characters in the movie. It also feels just like it adds a feeling of love about music and artistry and what it does and what it means to be an artist and creating things like this. Production wrapped up, the film was edited and put in the can. This is when the movie was finally ready for the world to experience and finally get a moment to see Almost Famous. To see how the film was received and the legacy the film has lasted since its release, check out Almost Famous Cinema Legacy on our YouTube channel. I really love this movie, and for those of you who haven't seen it in a while or at all, I do hope you check it out. Did you like the video? Do you want to see more in the Inside the Movie Magic series? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you know any facts I got wrong or want to explain something in more detail, please feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching. You can follow us on Instagram and Threads at MediaBite Company, and Twitter and TikTok is at MediaBiteCo. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.